them because
Recording in progress.
if you have, attended previous Zooms, you already heard the stories behind it. And the new ones from Pearl 31st onwards, I'm going to tell you the stories behind each pearls. And it's a very interesting story. It's all the people that I work with, study with, and I found how they do things more efficiently. And their universal commonality is they all have recognized our irrationalities, intrinsic, and they all find a way to overcome it, therefore become a lot more successful. So now 30 pearls comes very quickly. I will not explain the stories behind it, okay? Starting 31st pearl, I will tell you today's 6 to 10 pearls from 31st to about 40, and I will tell you the stories. Pearl 1. In partnership, the person is more important than the project. In partnership, who your partner is more important than what you will be doing together. Examine the character of a potential partner before entering into a business relationship with him or her. With the right partner, you may be able to do the right thing. However, with the wrong partner, you may never be able to do the right thing. And many of us have similar experience. Is to recognize that our human nature is jumping to do something violating this pearl number 1. So that's irrational, inefficient, emotional. Pearl 2. On the other hand, in solving a problem, the matter is actually more important than the person. It's the other way around. When addressing a problem, you should not focus on the personal attributes of the individual who made the mistake. If you do, you will place focus on the person, him or herself, which may then incite his or her ego, therefore create an emotional barrier that could cause him or her to never be able to see the issue itself. Therefore, you should focus on the issue instead of the person. So goal is to solve the problem, improve the system, and not to blame any particular person. So you see, it's not always people more important than issues. In solving a problem, actually, issue is more important than the person. Pearl 3. Life is a two-way street. If you need someone to assist you with your project, you first need to do everything you can to help that person with his or her project. Then he or she may be more inclined to help you with yours. A person who always wants to just take but never give will never be successful. Almost every day, ladies and gentlemen, I see people violating this rule. Nearly every day. Even to a point to ridicularity, ridiculous. It could be someone who needs help from me, needs financial assistance or contribution from me. Then when I say something, they just ignore it. Isn't it amazing? I have learned to develop a goal testing stone. I do not jump into relationship. I do a little goal testing stone because I cannot change anyone. The only person I can change is myself. So if they fail the goal testing stone, I never want to interact with that person because it would be wasting my time. My goal testing stone, if anyone who needs help from me, is I will throw little thing at them, see whether they are willing to look at the issue from my perspective. If they're unwilling, I'm not going to bother because they will never change. They are not life is two-way person. And I'm shocked by how many people, 99% strong, that even when they need something from someone else, they will still ignore that someone else's request. Does that make sense? Does not make sense. That's why we always behave emotional efficiently, the emotional irrationally. That's not rational behavior. Guess what? That's all well, most of us do. But if you follow Pearl 3, you'll be unique and you'll be more successful than your peers. Pearl 4, make it easy for others to help you. If you need help with your project, you need to first accomplish as much as you can yourself. Don't be lazy. If the person from whom you need help sees that you truly care about your own project, that you have already done as much as you can yourself before you ask for help, he or she will then be more willing to assist you. Furthermore, the more you have done yourself for your own project prior to asking for help, the less he or she will have to do. So the easier it will be for him or her to do it to help you. Think about it. Have you recognized this human irrationalities and use this rational approach? Number 5, why am I here today? Whatever you're doing, always be willing to step back for a moment, look at the whole situation, and ask yourself this key question. Ultimately, what is the real reason or purpose of me being here today? Now you may say, Dr. Wang, do you mean that sometimes we jump in doing things and forget what is real, why we're doing it? Correct. Everyone, myself included. That's a native human irrational behavior. I have recognized that, and I suggesting myself almost every day to do better. Always step back. Ask yourself, why doing that? Number 6, identify the number 1 task. When faced with many challenges, rank them in order of importance, so you can devote most of your attention to the number 1 task. The ability to rank lies at the core of the human experience. If you are 45 years old, what you have to show for after living on this planet for 45 years? In my opinion, the most important thing we have learned as human beings is the ability to rank, prioritizing. The ability to prioritize lies at the heart of human experience. Our native abilities, we don't rank. We just jump into the whatever's happened to be in front of us. Pro 7, apply logic to everything you do. Apply logic to everything you do, whether it's big or small, and ask yourself this question. Does it actually make logical sense, this way of doing things? And how can I more logically solve this problem? Believe it or not, many things we do actually are not logical. It's just the way it has always been done. That's human behavior. We just do whatever feels natural, what has been done. We apply the problem solving emotionally, irrationally, inefficiently. So if you recognize that pitfall and always examine the methodology you're doing, recognizing most of the time they actually do not make sense, you can actually do better than the next person. Pro 8, check things orthogonally. When you check something for accuracy, try not to use the same method that you used to obtain your initial result to begin with. Because if there was an error with that method, you will likely make the same mistake again. You're much more likely to catch an error if you use a completely different and unrelated, i.e. orthogonal in logic method the second time. And that's, incidentally, that's the principle behind the spreadsheet and CPA. You never will catch a mistake if you use the same methodology to check. Pro 9, focus on content before form. Content is more important than form, and the substance is more important than the formality. You may say, come on, man, I know that. As I said, 77 Shi Ban Gong Bei prose is not about something you don't know. It's about something we actually don't do. It's interesting why human beings develop this natural tendency of focusing on form rather than substance. And that's a question in itself worth discussing. If you want to, we can discuss later. But we need to overcome that nature, human nature. Pro 10, focus only on what you do and the things you can control. Don't worry about what others do. Focus on what yourself can do. Do not waste any time on things that are not under your control. Focus only on things you can do and change. I'm just amazed. Almost every day, I see myself continue to make this mistake and many others. They will worry about things that they have no control. Interesting. Let me ask you a question. Why do you think we irrationally behave that way? Why do we want to control and worry about things we have no control? It doesn't make sense. It only makes us less efficient. That's an interesting question. Why? But that is nonetheless, it is indeed human nature. We do worry about things we have no control. Pro 11, learn from others' mistakes. Learn from the mistakes of others. So hopefully you won't have to make the same mistakes yourself. I cannot tell you almost every teenager make this mistake. They have to make the mistake themselves in order to learn, and many of them don't listen to parents. We would be grand if we listen to people senior than us and avoid making the mistake ourselves. But we don't behave that way. Human nature is we have to make the mistakes ourselves. Pro 12, stay focused on the point. Don't be distracted by examples that people use. Always keep your focus on the issue itself. I cannot tell you how many times at the workplace I found that when we discuss and people use some examples and people just get sidetracked by the example, forgetting what the point is. That's emotional, that's irrational, native human behavior, and that is not efficient. Pro 13, don't try to change someone else. Adapt and change yourself. You cannot change another person anyway, but you can change yourself. Your ideal work partner should be someone who, at the onset, already possesses many attributes that will enable you to work well together. If adjustments are needed after you begin working together, adapt and change yourself. This Dale Carnegie, as you know. Success 14. Success is measured by effort, not by result. Success is not defined by how much we have accomplished, but by whether or not we have made our best effort. If you've done your best in everything you have done, then you're successful. It's interesting, human nature do not define success the way. We define success by the objective outcome. So this pearl is challenging all of us. Can we fundamentally change the definition of success instead of based on objective outcome, but based on something we do have control, that is our subjective effort. Pro 15, people will do what others have done in a similar situation. If you want someone to do something, first try to identify and then convey to him or her what others in a similar situation have done previously. Since people generally feel more comfortable doing something which has been done by others who have been in their shoes. I benefit this greatly for the work of our charity foundation, Sai Foundation, in raising money. I used to be not very successful at all in raising money, but later on, I learned this pro from a guy that I work with very smarter than me. So before I approach a donor, I will identify other donors who have donated and are in a similar shoes as this new potential donor. Pro 16, can I do this a bit better? Whatever you're part of, whether it's a process or a product, always be willing to ask yourself this question. Can I do this little better? As I related to you, I have a chance to work with many very smart people in my lifetime, and I've observed them. They don't have extra arm, extra leg. Many of them follow this pro. Whatever they do, they're always trying to do a little bit better. Over time, accumulates. 17, help others to recall the issue first. When you follow up with someone on an issue, remember that although you're fully aware of it, since it is your issue, he or she may not be. So first try to help that person recall what it's all about. So he or she wouldn't have to spend extra time, him or herself, figuring that out. If the individual has to do that, he or she may very well end up not doing the things you want him or her to do to help you because it just seems to be too much trouble. And remember, it is not even his or her own project to begin with. You have the experience getting emails, say, hey, Johnny, hey, what I asked you to do 3 months ago, what's up on that? Are you going to do it? And then you say, hey, can you help me recall what the heck that is? I don't remember. It's your project. I don't remember what that project was 3 months ago. So this person will be a lot more successful by helping you recall what his project is. 18, always be prepared with a backup plan. Whatever you do, go into it fully prepared with at least a plan B and sometimes even plan C. When someone unexpected When something unexpected happens and you're not already prepared with an alternative plan, going back to the drawing board is a total waste of time. Then you say, wait a minute, man, we don't do that? I mean, it's common sense, isn't it? Guess what? Most of us don't do that. When we jump into something, we do not have a B plan already prepared. You see, if you follow this pro, you're going to be a lot more efficient, wasting less time. Pro 19, improve the system itself. When solving a problem, don't be satisfied with the only solving the problem itself. Instead, try to examine the system from which the problem arose in the first place. And always try to improve the underlying system itself. When you see a hole in the net, it's not about just repair the hole, mend the hole in the net. It's about why that net has the hole to begin with. Again, it's common sense, but most of us don't do that. We follow our national irrationality, and human nature don't do that. 20, identify the real intention of a person. The real intention of a drunkard is not necessarily in the wine, as they say in Chinese. Someone may appear to want something, but guess what? He or she may actually really want something else. Think about this pro. Think about people you interact. Think about how successful you will be more than what you do by spending a little bit extra time figuring out what he or she is really up to. Often it's not the first thing he or she is telling you. 21, listen and then speak. Listen first. Let people finish what they're saying. Finish what they're saying and then speak. If you wait, you will avoid speaking prematurely. To this day, even though I know that this pro, I constantly make a mistake. I sometimes, when people start talking and halfway through, I think I know what they're up to, and I start answering questions, and then they say, that's not what they're asking. It's human nature to interrupt people. It is human nature for us to speculate what people are talking without actually investigating. Pro 22, among life's uncertainties, identify the few things that are indeed certain. When faced with many uncertainties, identify among them the few things that are indeed certain, and then hang your hat on them. I told you before, last time I gone through this pro, I learned from a professor in my residency at Wills Eye Hospital in Philadelphia. This professor, Dr. Peter Savino, always got the diagnosis right. And finally, I pulled him aside. I said, tell me, what's your trick? And he said, human nature will always like to swim among many uncertainties. Oh, it could be this, or it could be that. But I recognize their weakness, and I try not to do that. I walk in a situation, no matter how many uncertainties, different possibility of diagnosis you guys are arguing about, I ask myself, what are the certainties here, however few? Then I hang my head on that. So here's an interesting question. Why do you think human being likes to swing among uncertainties? It seems against common sense. Well, that's human nature. It's irrational, it's emotional, and it's inefficient. The fascinating question is, why is it? We tend to, by default, like to swim among certainties and do not train ourselves to develop the ability to spot the few certainties among the many uncertainties. 23, at least try. If you don't even try, you have zero chance to succeed. But if you try, even when you only have 1% chance of success, you're still much better than zero. 24, 3 criteria to determine if you do need to solve a problem. First, does the problem indeed exist? Second, is it actually a big problem that merit the effort, the time to solve it? And number 3, will solving it really matter? I learned this from a very successful business person, and I realized that most of the time as human beings, we are solving problems that are violating these 3 common sense criteria. So now I try to remember these 3 criteria. When I face a problem, I ask myself, Does it really exist? Sometimes, believe it or not, sometimes the problem doesn't really exist. It's in our mind. Second, even if it exists, is a big problem. What's the sense of wasting time solving small problems? Does it really, is it big enough to solve it? The merit, the time and effort to solve it? And number three is something that many of us violate this principle. Will solving this problem really matter? Even exist, even if a big problem, but doesn't matter. Why bother to solve it? Pro 25. What does human happiness depend? It is not how much you have, nor how much you want. That determines your happiness in life. Human happiness depends on the distance between how much you have and how much you want. The smaller the distance, the happier you are. I've learned, as I said last time, from my Alzheimer's disease father-in-law. For 5 years, they lived with us, my parents-in-law, and my father-in-law had a severe Alzheimer's disease. For 5 years, we also worried for him because, Dad, you don't enjoy life, you don't go out, you just sit there doing nothing, how miserable life is. And we are so worried about him. But 5 years later, I realized, no, the unhappy party is not him. He doesn't want much. He has what he needs. He's actually being the happiest among all of us. It's his wife, his daughter, myself. We are the unhappy, stressed out ones. So it's not his problem. It's problem on us. You see how dramatically the perspective change is to recognize happiness does not depend on how much you have or how much you want. It depends on the distance. Some people you may think they're not happy, they're actually happy. Some may think they're unhappy, they're happy, they're actually unhappy. 26, restate the question, please. Before we try to answer a question, sometimes it is helpful to ask this question. Could you please restate the question again? Clarifying what has actually been asked of you is often half the battle. I can tell you how many times I make mistakes myself. I always, jump into answering questions and, that totally misunderstood the question. So ask and repeat. Nice little pearl. The goal of life is not about seeing how much we have accomplished, but rather if we are happy throughout the journey. Life is not about feeling that we have arrived. Life is about enjoying the process. I have to constantly tell myself this thing because it's a dramatic change of goal in life. And it is not about we need to get somewhere. It's about, are we happy in the process of getting there? And I still make mistakes and still need that. Pearl. 28, you can actually change the reality around you. Our common wisdom say you cannot change the reality around you. Wrong. You can actually change the reality around you. Here's how. The traditional wisdom is that you can't actually really change your surroundings and reality around you. That's wrong. In fact, you can. For example, if you're always a positive person, always choosing to try to do something rather than not trying at all, always deciding to look at the glass as a half full rather than half empty, then eventually you will find that people around you will have to somehow, they have somehow all magically changed into that type. And they are all happy now. Then you say, wait a minute, how did I change the people around me? How did I change my surroundings? Because we're supposed to not be able to change our surroundings. Well, that's because you have caused the change. If you have chosen to be positive and your positive attitude, you are actually the one who have created a similar happy environmental reality around you. Birds of the similar feather flock together. So you end up a few years later saying, hey, how come all my friends are positive? Because subconsciously, actually was your choosing. So you can change your reality around you if you so choose to. Your subject choice does influence the object reality around you. 29, do everything a little better. Contrary to popular belief, people who are successful in life often do not have incredible, earth-shattering, unique skills and or secrets that others don't have. They're just slightly more diligent and alert, always watching with everything they do, try to find opportunities to maximize their efforts in order to do a little bit better than others. They may just do 1% better than others in one thing, but cumulatively, they eventually end up doing much better in life overall than most of us. 30. 90% of what we think is happening to us is actually our reaction. It's not happening to us. Of all the things we think is happening to us, only 10% is indeed the things that physically happen to us, that for which we have no control. But 90% our perception of what's happening to us is actually our reaction to it. So why we need to know that? Because we can control our reaction. This approach really helped me. I have met many adversities, failures in my life, and sometimes I feel very depressed and down. I say, I'm not getting it done. And this approach tells me that 90% of frustration is actually my own. It's only 10% what's happening. 90% of negative feeling is my own amplification of it. So control the 90%, I can do a lot better. Human nature tends to amplify the negative things. So ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you, why we tend to amplify the negative thing around us? Interesting, huh? It's totally irrational, illogical, therefore inefficient. And the answer to this question is very fascinating. It's for survival. Because if a tiger is running towards you, if you react just the right level, you may be eaten by the tiger. So it is to your advantage to survive by having a nervous system that overreact. So that make you run away faster and earlier. So our negative amplification subjectively in our brain, 90% of things are not happening to us, just simply our reaction to it, is come about because our need to survive. Today, I want to tell you that we need to overcome this so we can be more efficient, recognizing, first of all, this very powerful human nature. 31, new pearl today. Life is about balance, yin and yang. Going to one extreme often generates exactly opposite effect of what you desire. If you are extreme in your effort at something, you can actually end up being non-productive and bad at accomplishing the desired goal. Actually, Albert Einstein was asked one question, said, Dr. Einstein, if I keep on going in direction in front of me, keep on going forever, where do I end up? What do you think? If you keep on going right in front of you, keep on going forever, where do you end up? Einstein said, you're going to end up at the back of your head. So the Chinese Asian wisdom, yin and yang pattern, the black and white little just within a circle, is much more than balance. It's much more than complementarity. It's much more than completeness. It's much more than circularity. It has a very deep meaning, the yin and yang pattern. It's saying that if you're too white, you can end up to be black. If you're too black, you can end up to be white. So life, it's about that balance. And it's our human nature to be extreme. I mean, we are living in a very, very imbalanced country, isn't it? And the world. People are polarized and completely forgetting they are just simply following the emotional behavior of human being. And that's irrational, that's inefficient, because just look at the problem we are solving or not being able to solve, for that matter, such as environmental disaster. We're not solving the problem because people keep on polarizing and trying to proving they are right on either part of the political spectrum. So the reason we're not solving the environmental disasters is because people are behave following human nature. So you need to recognize that. You need to recognize the need to go for yin and yang, and to recognize it's not about the world should go to the east or go to the west. It's not about the world should go left or go to the right, or blue or red. It's about the world that needs to go forward. 32, before you speak, first rank your questions or answers. People pay most attention to what you say first. So before you ask a question or answer one, first think it through in your own mind, then ask the most important question first. Similarly, when asking a question, figure out your top and most critical answer and state that first. It's human nature. When people ask you a question, whatever happened to pop into your mind, you just spit it out. That is irrational, inefficient, emotional. Remember, people only pay most attention, 100% attention of the first thing you say. They pay 50% attention of the second thing you say. They pay only 25% attention to the third thing you say. So you need to recognize the human behavior and think about your answers. If you have 3 answers in your mind, rank them in your head first and speak up the most important answer first because you get the most attention. Again, human nature doesn't do that. We just spell out whatever we happen to be thinking. So this is a pro to overcome that inefficient human nature. Frog at the bottom of a well. Each of us is a frog at the bottom of a well, i.e. our perspective, basis of judgment, and opinions are limited by our own experience and exposure. We look up and see a small patch of clear sky as like a frog in the bottom of a well and believe it is a beautiful day. However, when we climb out of the well up to the ground level and are now able to look around the entire sky, we may realize that it's actually a cloudy day. We see that small patch of sky they were able to see earlier when we were at the bottom of the well was actually not at all representative of the whole situation. And this is from Chinese proverb, a frog at the bottom of a well. It is so easy, it's human nature for us to look at the evidence without asking, is this evidence complete or representative, and just simply jump into conclusion. 34, the goal of our communication. The goal of our communication should not be just to get a chance to just talk. The goal should be to make sure that our listeners do understand what we're talking about. Don't just keep on talking and be oblivious of whether or not your listener understands or even care at all what you're saying. You have the experience going to an event, a party, and Johnny keep on talking about his brother, his sister-in-law, and you just listen and you say that, Johnny, you're saying this to yourself, do I know your brother? Do I care to know? It's amazing. Human nature, we just want to talk for the sake of talking. So this pearl is challenging all of ourselves, myself included. Be clear about why you're talking and make sure you are delivering a message your listener not only can understand, but actually care to know. Don't mention anything you don't care. It's a waste of your time. 35, the best teacher. The best teacher is not someone who knows the most. We tend to think, the teacher, John Smith, is the best teacher because he knows the most. No. What I've learned, the best teacher is not someone who knows the most, but rather is someone who knows the most about what his or her students know. Think about it. Next time you're going to teach someone, it's not about how much you know. It's how much you know your listener knows. 36. People may be wrong, but they still want to be respected and heard. Although people may be wrong, they still want to be respected and heard. So respect them and let them fully express their opinion and consider carefully what they say. It's human behavior. Doesn't matter, I could be wrong, but I still want to be respected. And we need to recognize. And we so often, when somebody says something we don't agree, we just kind of put them down. Doesn't matter what the merit or lack of merit of someone's answer is. Above everything else, that human being wants to be respected. 37. Left and right brains. 1 plus 1 more than 2. A right brain dominant person is supposed to be creative and artistic. We know that. And the one who is considered to be left brain is rational and logical. However, we should not be limited by these classifications. That's my viewpoint on this. For example, I'm a right brain person, so I'm not good at the logical things. But instead, can you engage your right brain, the logical, to help you with the logical task, right brain, to help you with logical tasks, such as applying artistry to precision eye surgery? Because right is artistic, left brain is, logical. So can you use your artistic brain to solve logical problem? I'm trying to do that. I do precision eye surgery. That's a logical thing. So I sometimes apply artistry. I look beyond the surgery. I look at the patient. I say, is this treatment, does it fit him or her, giving what his or her, who she or he is? That's a creativity. It's more than just science itself. And also, you can do the opposite. You can use your left brain to do your creative work. For example, I love dancing. Dancing is a creative work, but I love to apply physics to which is the left brain ability, to a right brain activity, such as ballroom dancing. So if you do this, rather than treating two half the brain as two isolated half, one right, one left brain are meant to actually work together synergistically. So if you use left brain to solve creative problems, if it's the right brain to solve logical problems, it is actually a situation where 1 plus 1 equals actually more than 2. So we are shortchanging ourselves all the time by just using half the brain. Cross utilization, in fact, can bring out new watershed discoveries in between halves. 38. Don't do it. Don't write it. If you don't want people to know what you're doing, then simply don't do it. If you don't want people to read what you have written, then just simply don't write it. It's common sense, but most of us don't follow it. 39, don't criticize unless you have a better idea. If you don't have a better idea, then shut up. Keep your mouth closed. If you want to criticize something, always be ready to offer what you believe is a better idea. Life is not about finding the best idea. Life is about finding a better idea. I cannot, it irritates me, and I'm sure it irritates other people too, that when I suggest something, I'm not prepared to have with a better solution. Dale Carnegie said, if you have something to offer better, don't say anything. Shut up. I can tell you how often all of us, myself included, violating this pearl. Because human nature, we're not rational, we're not logical. We just, hey, Johnny, that's bad idea. So mean you have better idea? I don't know. Huh? That's not logical behavior. The logical behavior is if I don't have a better idea than what he's doing, don't criticize it. Keep my mouth shut. 40. The ultimate drive in life. The ultimate drive in life is to love what you do. If you don't, then change. And that came from Steve Jobs in his 2005 graduation commencement speech. At the end of his speech, he said that every morning you get up, look in the mirror, ready to go to work, ask yourself, are you excited about what you're about to do? If day after day you're not getting excited, change. Life is too short to be stuck in doing something you don't love to do. Okay, so today we completed 10 new pros. I got 77 of them. And the next one is April 16th. And so if you're interested in the book, take a picture of the screen. You can send me an email, lower left corner. I will be happy to mail you a little booklet. And you can read in the entire little booklet in 10 minutes. Next date is April 16, Wednesday, 7:30 Central Time. And I'm appreciative of Dr. Ming Chen who hosting this. And once again, the Shi Ban Gong Bei pros. On average, I use about 5 to 10 pros a day myself out of these 77. So you can improve your efficiency to up to 1,000% because of Jonathan Haidt said that we're 90% emotional, Ray Dalio and Thomas Jefferson. And then Areiles said we are predictably irrational. So standing on the shoulder of these two giants, I have my little booklet saying that since we are systematically irrational and inefficient, we can then systematically recognize these irrationalities and inefficiencies, then do things more efficiently. Since 90% of us is irrational, by improving that 90% back to logical, rational, we have a potential to improve our efficiency of what we do by 1,000%. So Shi Ban Gong Bei is about 77 human nature-driven irrational behaviors, how to recognize them, but more importantly, how to not to do them and do things specifically addressing those naturally existing human nature. Again, if you're anyone interested in my autobiography, appreciate support to foundation, visit wangfoundation.com, and $25 you can donate and we'll mail the book to you. And the movie is right now is free screening. You can take a picture screen. Again, more people watch the film and the more our goal of the filmmaking will be accomplished because our goal is to spread the word, let more people know about foundation and our ability with these technologies to help blind orphan children, and also is to inspire Asian Americans and immigrants, all of us, to tell our stories, let America know what we have done for this country. So that's the significance of the movie. So more you watch on this free link, and the more people will know about our foundation. And so thank you on behalf of the foundation as such. And so Shi Ban Gong Bei, in summary, is an ancient Chinese saying about accomplishing twice of the work in half the time. It's about combining the wisdom of East and West to accomplish things more successfully and efficiently in recognizing our native human nature. You can take a picture of the screen. You can email me anytime. And again, the movie site, the free link is site.docmingwang.com. So take a picture of the screen. You can email me any question. And now we're going to go into the Q&A now, and I'm going to stop sharing. And Dr. Chang, how many people we have? Quite a bit, huh? 20 some people. Excellent. So I see many friends. Anybody have any question? Go ahead about these pearls. And you can add the pro that yourself. The goal about this is not about 77 pros is the end of the world. It's to beginning to inspire you to identify your own pros, make your own discovery about human inefficiencies, irrationalities, and develop countermeasure. So it's meant to help you, inspire you to start your own collection of human inefficiencies. Honestly, I have tremendously benefited from these pros myself. All of them, nearly all of them, I learned from people that I have good fortune working together. They're a lot more efficient, some of them billionaires today, because they follow these pros. And little by little, they end up doing much better than me or most of people. So these are worth studying, and it's going to increase your not only efficiency, but also honestly make you happy to recognize what is true goal for life is.
Dr. Wang, this is John Michner.
Hey, John, thank you
Hey,
for attending.
yeah, it's very, very interesting. I think what I got out of it most, this is not necessarily a question, is that we tend to fear things that never ever really come to be. We
Mm,
worry about something that may or may not ever happen. And by thinking about these pearls, it can help maybe to avoid that. Okay, well, why is this happening? What should I do about it? Should I do nothing? Should I do something? But the main thing is not to just panic, because then you are doing something very negative. You're panicking. And when you panic, everybody knows that if you panic when you're drowning, starting to drown, you're going to drown. So the best thing to do is relax, take a deep breath, get on your back and paddle and yell, help. But I, I I really enjoy the fact that the pearls seem to be teaching over and over and over again that think first before you act or react. And in fact, act. Don't react, but act, because that's
yeah,
positive. Action is positive. Reaction is not.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. The Roman emperor, um, what's his name? The name escaped me. Anyway, the first Roman
Marcus
emperor.
Aurelius.
Yes, yes, yeah. And the is it Aaron mentioned
Yes,
it?
sir.
Yeah, yes, yeah, Aaron. Aaron is my banker, and thank you for attending. Yes, the Stoicism, Roman Empire emperors. It's about recognizing 90% of our reaction to things is not there. It's our overreaction, and we need to kind of remove these over reaction, recognize what's truly there. It's usually only 10% there, the negative things, and deal with that. We're stoic, be logical about it. Yeah, logic. Aaron, have you found anything in your life that, or any of those pearls I mentioned, or any resonance, or any pearls you discover yourself as well?
They all resonated. I took pictures of almost all of them.
Mm.
Um, I went out Friday night and my friend, he is unemployed and he had a job offer, but he would have to fly to a different city. And I was there and there were several people around the table and he was talking about the job and he said, you know, should I take it? And I was like, no, you shouldn't take it. And then my other friends kind of looked at me in a strange way because guess what? I didn't offer any better solution.
That's right.
Just like, nah, don't do it. And they were just like, well, what's your idea? And I was like, I don't know.
Yes, and it's interesting. They're so very. I do that all the time. Make the mistakes all the time. Is that we're too so quick to be critical of others or do things, and without realizing life is not about finding the best solution because the best may not exist, right? It's about finding better solution.
Mm.
And I caught myself all the time and say, "Oh, that's a bad idea." Okay, Ming, you have a better idea? I don't know. Well, then that's the only idea on the table, and just learn to be humble and also be just because what it does is encourage me to be logical because it's very easy a reaction, right? Oh, that's a bad idea, but it's a lot more logical, make me think more if I have to try to come up with a better idea. So it is much better span of my time, effort, rather than complaining, but ask myself. And it was so easy. Dale Carnegie said in his book, Making Friends, Influence People, it just, Dale Carnegie said that if you have something good to say to someone, say it. If you don't have any good things to say someone, don't say anything. Because all you're gonna do is make them feel worse, And it's so interesting. And I'm shocked that we have these 77 irrational behaviors that all of us, myself included, committing all the time. And every day I read my little booklet, think about it, and I can apply on average 5 to 10 of them. Very, very interesting, very effective, and help me there. I see Harold. Harold, this is your second time, I think, right? Harold Freeman. Yeah, you're muted.
I will ask unmute.
Okay. Yeah, unmute everyone.
Yeah.
Oh, is it unmuted, the
No.
Dr. Chan? Harold, you're speaking. We cannot hear you.
Harold, unmute yourself.
There we go.
Is that
Oh,
working
that's
now?
good.
Yes,
Yes.
it's good.
Okay. I was unfortunately I wasn't able to attend last month,
Oh, okay.
but
I
I'm
see.
looking forward. Well, I think that's the only one I've missed is last month.
Okay. So
Looking
next
forward to
one
next
is
month.
April 16th. April 16th. Yeah. And you have the little booklet, right?
Yes, that was sent to
Okay.
me by Leona.
Yeah. Aaron, I'm going to drop by your Bank of America office one day. Just drop you off a little booklet, okay? It's tiny little book.
Steve, thank you. I love it.
And you can actually finish reading it in 10 minutes, the entire booklet. The thing is you read it and you say, I know about this, but we don't practice it. That's the point.
Right.
We don't practice it, you know. Scott, I saw Scott on there. Hello, Scott. Where
Hi,
you
Dr.
where are you
Wang.
located?
Yeah, I'm in Seattle.
Oh, Seattle. Oh, okay. Do you like those pearls? Any
Yeah,
feedback?
no, today is the first time I I listened to your talk entirely. Last time I came in late.
Mm,
Anyway, I thought that some of those pearls are very similar. I think it's maybe trying to solve the same problem from a different perspective.
right.
So maybe, do you think that might be the reason why you can apply it 5 to 10 every day? Because when you face a problem, you try to solve it, you can look at it from different perspective and
Right.
apply
Yeah.
different pros to solve.
Exactly. They're at a different angle. And in fact, it's the story is that I accumulate these pearls at different stages in my life. I've been accumulating these pearls for, let's see, 4 decades. Ever
Wow.
since age 17, I've been accumulating. Because I recognize when I was 17, I went to University of Science and Technology, 中国科技大学, and I recognized that, 20% of the kids were smarter than me. So I decided then I'm just going to pay attention to how they do things. So then I went to other schools, Maryland and MIT, Harvard, and I see a lot more kids who are a lot smarter than me. So I've been observing. I may not be the smartest student, but I'm probably one of the most observing. So I painstakingly observe their behavior, how they do things, just like the pros I talk about today. That if you want someone else to help your project, please accomplish as much as you can yourself. We don't do that. We say, hey, Johnny, help me with this. But I saw this classmate, and it was at Harvard. He was very successful. He get people to do things for him all the time, successfully. So then I think, why? Well, he always do as much as he can. So the less his friend has to do to help him, more likely his friend will do to help him. And the other pro I learned from another student from MIT that he's the most effective in getting people to help him because he takes pain and time to remind people he's approaching what the heck this is about. We tend to speak the language of the speaker as human being. We say, hey, Aaron, help me on this that I approached you 6 months ago. Aaron goes, yeah, I don't remember exactly what it is. Do I have to find an email 6 months ago? Just by sheer trouble, Aaron, you have to go through. You end up not helping me. So rather, I should recognize it's my project. I know what it is, but it's not your project. No way you're going to be as familiar as me. So I'm going to try to help you recall what that project is, rather than making you have to go through trouble looking for email 6 months ago. That pro itself, helped me so much. I find that people are much more willing to respond because I literally dig out that 6 months email and forward it this time to you, Aaron, for example. So you don't have to do, so less people have to do to help us, more likely they will do it to help us. Very interesting. I see Dr. Robert Lin. Dr.
Hey,
Lin, all famous.
how are you?
How are you? Yeah, I'm so glad that you said you're gonna attend. I said, no way, Robert's not gonna listen. Just, what do you think? I mean, do you think these pros useful and your own pros? Because I find it very helpful every day.
You know what? This is one of the best hours I've ever spent in a long,
Oh,
long time. Because
oh,
honestly, it's my truth. I love pearls, and you're doing things that I always wanted to do is write all these things, and I try to teach other people pearls. My
yeah.
wife was here. I'm like, here, listen to these pearls, and halfway through, she left because most people, actually, the people that are on this call, we're the
Uh-huh.
people that want to get better, and we want to
Uh-huh.
make this into a habit. And
Right.
as you were going through each pearl, I was thinking and visualizing, all these different experiences that I've already had where the pearls would have been helpful, or I did that, or I didn't do that. And the key is to get it into a habit of
Right.
doing it on a consistent basis. So it automatically happens versus just thinking and doing that. So really, this booklet is very good. It's a booklet, and you got to have a little post-it in front of you, and every day you have to just keep incorporating more and more until it becomes second nature. So I'm really excited to get your booklet, and I'll see you in April at the Ascaris.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I definitely want to become better every day. So thank you so much. I really
I
appreciate it.
mean, you're already very good, very successful, but all of us have room to improve, of course. Yeah, that's something I definitely. One of the things, Robert, I continue to learn is fascinating that while human natures don't speak the language of the listener, we don't. But we will assume people. It's a stupid. It's inefficient and stupid because if I speak to you using my own language, I'm not making an assumption. You, Robert, have the same life experience as me, which is not likely. I mean, you're a different
Correct.
person, a different life experience. So there's no way I can convey the point to you using my life experience. So rather, I should try to know you as much as I can, then put in the question in your context. And this is a pearl, speaking the language of the listener, which is coming up, one of the pearls later. It's actually better than trading places. So people say, hey, you're talking about trading places. We all know about it, but most of us don't do it, right? But trading place simply means, okay, we have an issue, Robert, between you and me, and right in the middle, I look at the issue from your perspective. Fine, but that is not complete because by merely if I'm willing to look at the issue from your perspective, that's a good start. But remember, why I talk to you in the first place is I have a viewpoint to express. I mean, I'm not going to be satisfied. Oh, I call up you and Robert, I have something to tell you. Then I simply look at the issue from your perspective. I don't get a chance to express my point. You see that? It's deficient. This traditional wisdom, trading places, which is good starting point, but it's incomplete. So what I'm trying to say is the complete statement is speaking the language listener, meaning I still want to convey to you my point. That's the whole point I'm calling you, but I want to make my point in your language. So that's why speaking the language of this. And the other thing coming up, Pearl, is customers always right. That's a incomplete statement. I mean, we're in the service industry, we say, yeah, customers always right. And no, I realize while it is true, but it's partial, it's incomplete. But the complete statement is customer is always right when in front of the customer. So I educate my staff all the time because sometimes they got mad. They say, hey, this patient is wrong, Dr. Wang, you're not being fair. I say, it's not about fair, it's customer service. In front of the customer is right. You can close the door, you can yell and shout and curse the customer if you want, but customer is right when in front of customer. That's a complete statement. So I look at some of the traditional pearls we use and try to think about what makes more logical sense. And I cannot tell you how often people do not speak the language of listener. And the other thing I found constant, almost every day, Robert, every day I spot at least one, sometimes two violators, which is this: life is two ways. I mean, you're a physician yourself. I mean, we get these, some kind of charity events all the time. And, hey, Dr. Lin, can you help us donate something? And, you know, I don't have the time or nor the financial resources and involved in everything. And I used to what should I do? But then I found that I cannot change anyone. I can only potentially change myself. Even myself is hard to change. So I don't want to waste my time in this life at all. Deal with people who are not life to waste. It's a complete waste of time because I cannot change them. So then how do I know this person who is asking for a donation is not a life to waste? So I have my gold testing stone, which is an ancient Chinese proverb, is the emperor who had people present to him the ore, the stone picked on the ground all the time, say, hey, Emperor Qi, this is, gold. So he got fooled many times. He paid lots of money. And so finally, emperor became a little smarter. In his pocket, he had a little sharp stone, which is not gold, but it's a sharp stone in his pocket. Every time a merchant came forward presenting the emperor with this ore, say, hey, this is gold, the emperor would take out his own sharp little stone and strike on the surface. If it generates gold spark, and then this big ore is a gold, because his testing stone is not gold. If it does not generate gold sparks, he returned the stone and don't bother to buy it from the merchant. So I developed a gold testing stone for these people who need favor from me. And I normally respond and say, hey, that's interesting events, interesting course. But hey, by the way, blah, blah, blah. I'll tell them a little bit about our events or charity, whatever. And guess what? The answer will shock you, Robert. Are you ready? 99% of people will respond to that email. 99% will say, thank you, Dr. Wang, so much. You actually say you're going to look into our event and think about donating. Thank you. If you decide to donate, please. As if I never mentioned my second line.
Interesting.
Here's the interesting thing. I don't understand. It's complete human nature. Robert, you and I equal. I mean, we're colleagues. You don't need anything from me. I don't need anything from me. We can help each other, but we don't owe anything. It's like I'm above you or you're above me, right? We're equal. So as friends, equal level friends, sometimes, you may not pay attention to what I say, or sometimes I may not pay attention to what I say. That's understandable. We're busy or whatever. But can you imagine? I need something from you. Then I ignore what you want. It's like, how stupid can that be? I mean, that's stupid. If in the university, I'm always in favor from the professor because I want the professor like me, give me better grade. You bet. Actually, I learned that pearl from a student. When the professor needs a coffee, I will run to the hallway and get a coffee, the first one to do so, because that's a rare opportunity for me to do something for the professor, whom I don't have opportunity to do anything for, right? So that's one student behavior I learned that. Human nature is so dramatically irrational, does not make any sense, is when A needs something from B, then when B says something, A completely ignore it. Test it yourself, Robert. From now on, test it. Throw a little gold setting stone sentence about what you need, big or small. You will see, shockingly, the person who requests help from you will completely ignore what you said in the second paragraph. How could they ever be successful? How could they ever be successful if they ignore the request of the people they need help from?
Well, I think they're just used to they're actually surprised and shocked that you actually asked the request because they are not used to doing that. And most people are not testing them. And they're just going through, they're not sincere, basically. They're just going through the motions of asking for donation.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
I know, but that's just.
But it's good that you have a test.
Yeah, I know. But this has to do with the particular example. You're right. But the message, underlying message is, doesn't matter what people need. They're so self-centered. Human being, myself probably, is so self-centered. When we need something, we will ignore requests from others, even from people who we need help from. I mean, I was giving a film show in Connecticut. There's a young guy, as the film starts, a young guy came, he said, Dr. Wang, can I talk to you? I was very busy trying to get things going. And I said, what do you want to talk me to? He's like 19 years old or 18. He said, oh, I got an interview at Harvard Medical School. And I know you went there. Can you give me some pearls? And I said, oh, great. I mean, that's fantastic. So I spent an hour and a half, which I should have taken a nap. I was so tired. I flew in, started the airplane at 3 o'clock in the morning, get up. So, but I spent an hour and a half when the film is being shown, tell him everything that I learned at the Harvard Med School, how he can prepare his interview and all that. At the end, I said, Johnny, I have a little favor from you. He said, what? I said, I'm going to have another film tonight show tonight. You must have some friends, right? Can you, tell some friends? We need more people, audience, okay? And I literally told him, this young guy, few minutes before that request, I said, you're going to excel in universities. You have to know life is two ways. Okay, if you have a chance to do something for the professor, don't ignore that. Okay, anybody you need help from. I literally try to prevent him making a mistake. Tell him this pearl. And guess what his reaction is? He did nothing. I mean, he even sent me a text later. He said, Dr. Wang, so good. You spent so much time helping me. Now my interview for Harvard is going to be much better. As if 我还没放那个屁呢. I never even give him the little request to tell him about the film that night. It's shocking. People are so self-centered. But on the other hand, it means if we are smart enough to recognize we have these pitfalls, all of us human beings, these 77 pros, and we do something about it, it's not that easy to be successful. The most 99% people. It's not that difficult. It's not that difficult to be successful in 99% people because people literally behave just the human nature way all the time. And that's the value of this book. It's the value of effort to identify human native instinct. And it's fascinating. Most of them are inefficient. Most of them is irrational. And predictably irrational is fascinating. It's fascinatingly predictable. For example, another predictable irrationality Dan really pointed out in his book, Predictable Irrational, is this. What do you think that when something happens in our life, do we blame ourselves versus blame others? Is it 50% is a random thing? Is like 50% we blame ourselves, 50% we blame others? No, it's not random. It's a systematic error. 99% time as human beings, we blame on others. It's not rational. It's not reasonable because it should depend on things, right? What happened, etc. But universally, all of us, majority of the time, when things don't happen going well, we try to blame others. It's human behavior. It's irrational. It's not logical. It's not efficient, but we do it all the time. So recognizing those will give us a leg up, try to do things better. And honestly, it's happier. Like the definition of happiness. I realized that I don't have control of lots of things. So some years ago, I fundamentally changed my definition of happiness from the normal definition of happiness, which is objective outcome, whether it happened or not, to subjective definition of happiness, which is, did I do my best? But interesting thing happened. Afterwards, because I'm a human being, like all of us, I want to be happy, right? Looking back, I want to be happy. So then I end up maximizing my subjective effort because I want to look back and be happy since my happiness is depend on if I have done my best because I fundamentally changed the definition of happiness for myself from objective outcome to subjective effort. So this become a positive reinforced loop. And more and more I do it. So nowadays, people say, why you spend so much time doing these things, trying to do the best you can? I'm saying, my answer is very simple. I want to be happy because I want to look back. Whether or not this happened or not, doesn't matter. Did I do my best? Because I want to be happy. And because my happiness depends on my subjective effort, I end up. So that's why I do lots of things. People say, how can you be always positive and doing this, doing that? Is it everything you touch is successful? No. I'm just like everybody else. That's it. Statistically, 50% things I do is fail. It's the same. No better, no worse than you. We all fail in many things we do. So that's the 50% things I do fail as well. But for some reason, 99% of the time I'm happy because I change the definition of happiness. And that's a pro that we mentioned. But thank you so much. I want to thank Dr. Chen again for hosting in Houston. Dr. Chen, do you have how many people on the Shi Ban Gong Bei email list now?
Oh, thousand. Almost,
Thousands. Okay.
50.
Yeah. So I welcome everybody April 16th, Wednesday, and 7:30 Central Time. I'm going to go from Pro 41 to 50, and I'll review very quickly the previous 30 pros for 40 pros as well. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Wang. Wonderful lecture. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Oh, Professor Song, thank you.
Thank you.